So you said some really interesting stuff this time about, fun.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
It really is. Like, we all think we know what fun is.
Yeah.
We ask, did you have fun? All the time.
Right. Simple question.
But when you actually try to pin it down, define it, it gets really slippery.
Uh-huh. Maddeningly elusive, as Catherine Price puts it.
Exactly. And that's kind of our mission for this deep dive, right?
Yeah.
To take these sources you shared and really pull out the core ideas. What is fun and how can we, get more of it?
For sure. And what blew me away was how little attention it gets academically.
Oh, totally.
Like Price points out in her book, The Power of Fun, which is, our main source here, that the word fun is barely even in psychology textbooks.
No index term.
For fun! Crazy, right? Something so fundamental to being human, just ignored by a lot of the research on emotion.
So she basically had to figure it out herself.
Pretty much. She went on this whole personal journey, even started this thing called the Fun Squad.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that. Like
Yeah.
over 1,500 people.
Yeah, globally, all trying to figure out, what makes fun.
Which brings us right back to the listener. Maybe you're wondering, like, what is this thing, really?
And why does it sometimes feel so hard to find? Or, like, forced, when you're supposed to be having fun?
Okay, so Price, after all this work with the Fun Squad and her own research, she lands on this definition: true fun.
Mm-hmm. And she says it's these three things coming together: playfulness, connection, and flow.
Right. Let's break those down. Playfulness first. What does that actually mean? It's not just playing games, is it?
No, not necessarily. It's more of a spirit, like a feeling of lightheartedness, freedom.
Doing something just 'cause. Not because you have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No obligation, no worrying about how it turns out. Just, the enjoyment of doing it.
And she said people tend to, like, smile more, laugh easily.
Yeah, that carefree feeling, like a weight's been lifted off your shoulders for a bit.
Okay, so playfulness is one. Then connection.
Connection, that feeling of a sort of special shared experience.
With people.
Often with people, yeah. That's kind of the most common way we feel it. But it could also be a connection with nature,
Ah, like being out in the woods or something.
Or connecting with an activity you love, like painting or music, or even with a pet. Or just feeling really in sync with your own body during exercise.
But the people part is key, usually. Even for introverts.
Yeah, Price found that was pretty consistent. An introvert might find it in a deep one-on-one chat rather than a huge party, but that sense of shared experience, being on the same wavelength, that's still crucial.
Got it. Okay, so playfulness, connection.
Yeah.
And the third one was flow.
Flow. Right. And most people have probably felt this, even if they don't call it flow.
Is that when you get totally lost in something?
Exactly. You're so engrossed, so engaged that you just lose track of time. Everything else just fades away.
And you might not even notice it happening until afterward.
Mm-hmm. You look up and hours have passed.
And flow can create connection too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Think about like a great concert. Everyone's into the music, feeling the same energy.
Or a really good conversation where you both just click.
That shared focus, that deep immersion, it definitely builds a bond.
Okay, so that's tree fun. When those three things overlap: playfulness, connection, flow.
Right. But then she talks about fake fun.
Ah, yeah. This is where I think a lot of us get tripped up.
Mm-hmm. She argues that just, passively consuming stuff, binge watching TV, scrolling social media endlessly, that stuff doesn't really cut it for true fun.
Because it's passive.
Exactly. Playfulness, connection, flow, they're all active states. You have to be doing something, engaging somehow. You can't just sit back and let it wash over you.
But scrolling or watching TV can feel relaxing.
Yeah.
Right, or like pleasant.
Oh, for sure. It can be enjoyable, relaxing, maybe you learn something, but it's usually missing those core ingredients.
So it's pleasant, but not true fun.
Generally, yeah. Think about going to a concert again. Just being there isn't automatically true fun.
Okay.
But if you're dancing, singing along, feeling connected to the band or your friends, maybe getting totally lost in the music, then it tips over into true fun territory. Needs that active spark.
Right, that makes sense. And this ties into the whole technology piece, doesn't it?
Oh, massively. Price shares this really vivid story. She was breastfeeding her daughter late at night, and she realized she was just mindlessly scrolling eBay on her phone.
Wow, in that moment.
Yeah, and it just hit her. This incredibly intimate, important moment, and her attention was divided, tethered to the screen.
That's a powerful image. A real wake-up call.
It really was for her, and it made her see how much these devices were creeping into every part of life, pulling our focus.
And it wasn't just her, obviously.
No, she felt like it was happening to everyone. This constant pull, this sort of dysfunctional relationship we have with our phones.
And that's a huge barrier to true fun.
A major one, she argues, because it leads to what she calls time confetti.
Time confetti, like little bits of time.
Yeah, exactly. Our attention gets shattered into these tiny fragments,
Yeah.
jumping from emails to texts to notifications to scrolling.
Ugh, I know that feeling. You feel busy, but like you hasn't actually done anything substantial.
Right. And it makes us feel more stressed about time, more exhausted. It's the complete opposite of flow, which feels energizing.
And these apps are designed to do that, aren't they? To keep us hooked.
Absolutely. She talks about persuasive design. Things like, the little red notification dots,
Oh, yeah, but that's those.
the endless scroll, the unpredictability of what you'll see next. It's all engineered to trigger dopamine hits in our brain.
Dopamine, the reward chemical.
It creates this loop, like a slot machine. You pull the lever, refresh the feed, hoping for a little reward. That uncertainty keeps you coming back.
And some psychologists even compare it to, like, OCD or ADHD behaviors.
Yeah, Larry Rosen drew those parallels, this compulsive checking. And it's not just speculation. Even Google has apparently acknowledged these addictive patterns of engagement.
Wow. Coming from Google, that's telling.
It really is. And this constant distraction, this fragmentation, it actually messes with our memory.
How so?
Well, to form a lasting long-term memory, you need focused attention. Your brain needs to consolidate that information, move it from short-term storage. Research shows this actually involves physical changes.
Okay.
But if your attention is constantly split, like trying to listen to a podcast while scrolling Instagram, those memories just don't get encoded properly. They don't stick.
So we're experiencing things, but not really remembering them fully.
Exactly. And if you don't have those solid long-term memories, it's harder to make connections between ideas, to have those insights, those aha moments.
Which hurts creativity.
It can, yeah. Plus, just the sheer volume of information coming at us, it can be overwhelming. There's this idea that our brains evolved to seek information when it was scarce, like food.
But now we have too much information.
Way too much, and often low-quality stuff. It swamps the system, makes it harder to think deeply, like trying to see in a blizzard of data.
Information overload blindness. Got it. And it even affects our conversations, just having the phone nearby.
Yeah, studies show that. The mere presence of a phone on the table can apparently lower the quality and intimacy of a face-to-face chat, even if you don't touch it.
Yikes. Okay, so technology is a big hurdle. But Price also said that even if you don't hit true fun, those individual pieces, playfulness, connection, flow, are still good on their own.
Definitely. Each one independently boosts positive emotions. Feeling playful is good, feeling connected is good, getting into flow is good.
So even aiming for 2 out of 3 is worthwhile, like playful connection or connected flow.
Absolutely. That shared laugh with a friend, that intense focus during a collaborative project. Those are valuable feel-good moments, even if they aren't the full trifecta.
Okay, so how do we actually get more of this, especially when we feel like we don't have time?
The time issue. Price calls this the time value paradox.
Meaning
We
that-
feel like our time is super valuable, too precious to waste. And yet we often spend our leisure time doing things like passive scrolling that leave us feeling like we just wasted it.
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah.
Where did the last hour go? Feeling.
Exactly. And it's interesting, Celeste Headley's work, which Price mentions, points out that before the Industrial Revolution, work was often more task-based.
Finish the job, day's done.
Often, yeah. Which meant more built-in leisure time, more social connection. People actually used to gather and listen to epic poems for entertainment.
Hard to imagine now.
Right. But Price's point is that actively pursuing fun isn't frivolous. It actually fuels us, gives us energy, helps us reach other goals. True fun should be like a guiding star, she says.
A guiding star. I like that. But you can't just schedule fun, can you? It feels like it has to be spontaneous sometimes.
True. It often feels random, and you definitely can't force it. We've all been to those mandatory fun events that were anything but.
Painfully awkward, yeah.
But you can create the conditions for it. You can nudge the odds in your favor. And she has some really practical steps. She starts with a fun audit.
Okay, an audit. Sounds serious.
Well, maybe a little. But it's basically about looking honestly at how much true fun you're actually having right now, your fun deficit.
Ouch. Okay.
Then, thinking back, Your fun history. What were those peak moments in your life? When did you feel really alive, playful, connected, absorbed?
Mining the past for clues.
Exactly, to identify your personal fun magnets.
Fun magnets.
Yeah, the specific activities, people, settings that reliably seem to spark true fun for you. What pulls you in?
So it's personal. My magnets might be different from yours.
Totally personal. And then digging deeper into the fun factors, why are those magnets appealing?
Like the underlying ingredients.
Is it silliness?
Yeah.
Creativity,
Yeah.
physical activity, learning something new, that deep connection, novelty. Understanding your factors gives you a kind of recipe for seeking out near fun experiences.
Okay, so identify your magnets and factors. What else?
Making space for it, literally. She talks about decluttering your physical environment, inspired by Marie Kondo.
Less clutter, less distraction.
Yeah, less anxiety, easier to focus, easier to get into flow. Also, just getting out of your everyday surroundings can help shake things up.
Change your scenery. Makes sense.
And being strategic with your yes, using that fun filter.
Ask, will this likely lead to playfulness, connection, or flow?
Pretty much. If yes, maybe give it a shot. If not, maybe it's okay to pass.
Also, building a fun toolkit, like a list of ideas.
Yeah, having some go-to options ready, so when you do have free time, you don't just default to the couch and the
But
remote.
don't make it a chore, right? Put work into fun, but don't make fun feel like work.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance. Planning might be needed, but keep the spirit light.
What about mindset?
That's huge. Trying to be easy to laugh, adopting that yes and spirit from improv, being open, saying yes to spontaneous possibilities.
Building on things instead of shutting them down.
Right. And actively noticing delights.
Just small good things.
Tiny positive moments, a good cup of coffee, sunshine, a nice interaction. Just consciously noticing and labeling them, it trains your brain to see the good.
Creating playgrounds was another one.
Yeah, setting up environments or even just simple rules that encourage fun and playfulness. Could be a dedicated space, could be a family game night rule.
And playful rebellion. Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, it's about intentionally breaking routines, maybe questioning traditions, pushing back against the seriousness of adulthood sometimes.
Shaking things up to feel alive.
Exactly. Creating memories. And finding your fun squad.
A small group committed to fun.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be huge, but having a few people who are game for trying things and prioritizing fun together can make a big difference.
Investing in experiences over stuff, too.
Classic advice, but true. Spending time and money on doing things and connecting with people generally leads to more lasting happiness than buying more objects.
And technology can be used for good fun.
For sure, learning apps, creative tools, multiplayer games with friends. If used intentionally, it can definitely support fun, not just hinder it.
Of course, it's not always easy, right? Trying new things can be hard.
Definitely. Learning a skill for flow takes effort, can be frustrating. There's that fear of looking silly or feeling dumb when you're a beginner.
Yeah, that inner critic.
Right. We have to be kind to ourselves. And also, try not to judge others for their fun, which sometimes comes from our own insecurities, you know?
True. Okay, so wrapping up. The main message here is that true fun, playfulness, connection, flow, it's not just optional fluff.
Not at all. Price argues it's essential, vital for a satisfying, joyful life.
And actively going after it can help fight stress, fight the screen drain.
It's like an antidote, yeah, a way to recharge and reconnect with what matters.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. What's one tiny step you could take, maybe even today, to invite just a little more playfulness or connection or flow into your life?
Yeah, what playground could you create? What routine could you playfully rebel against just a little bit?
And maybe take a moment later to think about those fun magnets and fun factors we talked about. What really lights you up?
Knowing that is really the key to unlocking more of it.
Well, hopefully this deep dive gave everyone some good food for thought, maybe some inspiration.
Hope so. It's definitely made me think about my own fun habits.
Me too. Thanks so much for diving in with us today.